last year or so.
Today, you leave here as physicians who are prepared to meet your patients' most pressing medical needs. It is you who will lead the transformation of patient care and carry forward the rich tradition of our college and our profession. I am delighted to welcome the Ohio University Heritage College of Osteopathic Medicine class of 2014. We can proudly say that Heritage College has now graduated more than 3,000 osteopathic physicians.
Last month, our class of 2018 began their osteopathic medical studies with 140 students on the Athens campus and 50 here in Dublin.
New scholarships have been established, research chairs and professorships endowed, and new curriculum implemented.
The curriculum delivery model is going to be unique, based on distance learning, based technology.
And with our early assurance program with 5 universities throughout the state, our future looks even brighter than ever.
Our graduates have a huge affinity for this college. They have loved the experience that they had and actually want to give back. We have some truly world-class faculty. They're not only experts, but they care deeply about the learning experience for the students. They're always looking for ways to help the students learn in a better way. Research at Heritage College is focused on some of the most pervasive issues in healthcare delivery today. So we are trying to create many opportunities for our students to be involved in that discovery.
I really can't get over just the outpouring of support. It's just that people coming out of the woodwork to really let us know, how much they're there to get behind us, to support us, and to really push us into the future of our medical education.
Health is to improve the health of those we serve. And nothing could help us achieve that mission better than our partnership with Ohio University and the Heritage College of Osteopathic Medicine.
We are indeed Ohio's medical school. Our graduates often stay in the state to practice.
And especially in our state's most underserved communities. It's a great service field. There's a lot of doctors that are needed for a lot of the rural areas around Columbus.
As I was thinking about some of our ideal students, they exhibit an incredible sense of altruism, the idea of wanting to be part of something bigger than themselves.
I'm very proud to stand here today with 9 members of today's graduating class who have made the awesome choice of serving our country by pursuing a career in military medicine.
Try to promote our students as leaders on the national scene. We bring our students to DO Day on the Hill. It's a place where you will lobby the congressional delegation to try to make a significant change in healthcare and medical education. What is really a historic decision in our profession to preserve the opportunity for you and the students who will come after you to have access to all residency and fellowship training programs that will let everyone across the world know that all residents and fellows trained in the United States have met those standards. We at the Heritage College are extremely proud of our core hospitals and of our students who complete their internships and residencies there. So we're going to have 3 campuses, but there's one college.
The new medical school is open in Dublin for future doctors. The Osteopathic Heritage College of Medicine, a branch of Ohio University, welcomed 50 students to orientation today.
The Heritage College Dublin is the culmination of years of planning and the generous support of the Osteopathic Heritage Foundation's $105 million gift to the college.
A year from now, the college will celebrate the 3rd Heritage campus in the Cleveland area. And with all due respect for academic institutions, to accomplish this much in one college in a little over 4 years is like Starship Enterprise traveling at warp speed.
Let us leave our mark on this profession and hold true to the ideals of osteopathy as we move throughout our careers.
Our vision is to be the #1 producer of primary care physicians in the country, and we're leading the transformation of primary care right here in Ohio. As we have grown, change has touched every office and every unit within the college. I am so proud of our faculty, our staff, and our students for their focus and hard work in making these days possible.
Every time I show this video, I feel like that singer who sang a song and it was well received, and then they do one song and then they just walk off and drop the mic. Because I think this video kind of sums up how special we think OU-HCOM is to practice medicine. How many juniors do I have in here? Seniors? Sophomores? Freshmen? Okay. And before this evening, how many have heard of osteopathic medicine? Okay. So there's a couple who have not. Well, good. Because my goal, or goals here this evening are quite simple. One, to kind of give you a little some tidbits about osteopathic medicine, the genesis of DOs, how special we think that HCOM is in terms of providing excellent physicians for the globe. So good. So most of you have heard of osteopathic medicine.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I have a couple people going to class, right?
Yeah, sorry. That's okay.
Yes.
Hi.
We'll put the video up, don't worry about it.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.
Osteopathic medicine was founded by Dr. Andrew Taylor Still. And the genesis of his discovery was because he had lost 3 sons to spinal meningitis. And he couldn't understand why the medical practices of his day could not save his family. So he embarked upon a new discovery of medical practice. He founded the first DO school in 1892, and in 2014 there are 30 schools spanning 40 campuses nationwide. As I had mentioned, he thought some of the medical practices of his day were doing more harm than good. And some of the more common medical practices of his time, we wouldn't even consider those types of practice today. Well, maybe amputations when necessary, but bloodletting, not so much. Can you think of why we would prescribe mercury for anything today? No. As I had mentioned, there are 30 DO schools. I just read through one of our blogs that there are 6 more DO schools coming online beginning of 2015 throughout the country. 30 schools, the majority of them are private schools. We're one of 6 public institutions. So what is the difference between DO and MD? Nicholas, I'm glad you asked. Basically, osteopathy is based upon 4 tenets. First tenet, body functions as a single unit. Structure and function are interrelated. When properly aligned, the body has the ability to heal itself, and disease is an effect and not a cause. Osteopaths practice a form of I like to think that they have an extra tool in their medical bag to help diagnose and treat their patients in osteopathic manual medical training, or OMM or OMT as it sometimes is referred to. And folks, what that is a heavy focus of the musculoskeletal system. DOs have an extra 200 hours of training in this technique. And as you can imagine, it is a hands-on technique. And it's distinctive to DOs. And philosophically, the osteopath physicians, they believe in a holistic approach to medicine. They believe that the mind, the body, and the spirit are interrelated. So when you diagnose and treat a patient, you treat the whole as opposed to just maybe an area. For example, if a patient has a shoulder ailment, soreness, unless you do a full analysis of the human anatomy, maybe by using the OMM technique, you may not have found out that this is where the ending point where the soreness is, but actually there may be a more serious condition in the body that's causing the pain to radiate through the shoulder. An example, we had one of our doctors at the Cleveland Clinic, one of our alums, a patient came into her office, was complaining of chronic shoulder fatigue ailment. Make a long story short, upon her OMM and full anatomy analysis, if you will, she found out that the pain really wasn't in the shoulder. She had a mass in her lower right back quadrant. And actually it was a mass that needed to be operated and removed immediately. So unless you have a focus, and this is just my 2 cents, if I was smart enough, like you young minds, to be a doctor, which I'm not, at least not a DO or an MD, it would make more sense for me to focus on the whole anatomical structure as opposed to maybe just an area. I will also say that DOs, they get some additional training in the human anatomy because of their focus of the holistic approach. So you'll find DOs in all specialty areas, in all practices. Throughout the video, I think you heard that a great many of our graduates are primary care physicians, but that is not the only specialty that they focus on. About 50% of our graduates are primary care docs, but that leaves the other 50% to focus on internal medicine, peds, OB-GYN, anesthesiology, psychology, anything that you can think of, any type of specialty is where you'll find a DO. And a lot of our DOs are conducting translational research and shaping the healthcare policy and legislation, not just here in Ohio, but also globally. You'll find a glossy sheet that kind of gives you some ideas of where our students between years 1 and 2, where they receive some global clinical experiences. So here's your timeline. As you heard Dean Johnson on the video indicate, we have 3 campuses, 1 college. If you are an Athens student, you'll do your first 2 years in Athens, and then you'll go to one of our core sites. Our core stands for Center for Osteopathic Research and Education. You can think of the core as a statewide campus, if you will. It is a consortium of teaching hospitals and clinics, and that's where you're going to get your rotations in the various specialties. If you are a Dublin or a Cleveland student, you will do all 4 years in Cleveland or 4 years in Columbus. You won't actually have to pick up and move to one of the core sites. Also, in the back of your view book, if you would hand me that one of those view books there. Thank you. Also, in the video, you probably saw the scrolling list of hospitals and clinics. Probably too quick to read, but the second to the last page in the back pinpoints those core sites where our students do their clerkships years 3 and 4. Just a little history about HCOM. We were founded in 1975. In 1975, you guys weren't born, but take my word for it, I had a big afro back in 1975. If you can imagine that. And in 1975, we became the first, the 10th DO school in the nation. And for quite a number of years, we are the leading provider of primary care docs for the state of Ohio, have been for some time, and I believe we're in 10 or 11 in the country. Our first class in '76, we admitted 24 students, and now with our 3 campuses, we are actively selecting 240 students. And through the generous grant from the Ohio Heritage Foundation, that has allowed us to expand our campus opportunities, our scholarship opportunities, our clinical research facilities, 90 new scholarship categories, and also enhance our dual degree program opportunities. There is a, this brochure here kind of talks about one of the dual degree opportunities, DO-PhD. We offer 2 DO-PhD degrees. Also, there's a DO-MBA, a DO-MPH, a DO-MHA, a DO-MA, and a DO-MS. So, at HCOM, you can take your educational endeavors to as high as you can imagine. I will say that DO-PhDs are in high demand, and there are some wonderful scholarship and grant opportunities for students who are thinking about going this route. In Dublin, 50 students. Cleveland will have 50 students. Right now, I think we have about 21 students already selected for our Dublin campus. for our inaugural class of 2015. And then in Athens, we selected 140 students. So here's how you apply. And I won't insult your intelligence by reading these bullet points. These are also in the view book in the very back. And you want to make sure you at least meet the minimum requirements in terms of the number of credit hours for each category, of course, work that you need. Additional upper-level science coursework is strongly encouraged. You have to take the MCAT, and you must be able to meet the health and technical standards of the college. You can't be a felon. Your vaccinations must be pristine, things along those lines. So when you apply, you'll go to ACOM, acomas.org. And so for my juniors, say you'll be applying for the 2016 class. So in May of 2015, you'll want to start pulling that application, start working on it. And you can start submitting your application as early as June 1. Now, keep in mind, it does take about 5 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, for ACOMAS to go through your application and to process it and to verify everything before they send it out to your schools that you've selected. Essays, transcripts, you have to supply ACOMAS so that they can verify your transcripts. $195 for the initial application, and then for each additional school, the cost is roughly about $35. And ACOMAS does grant fee waivers if that is something that you are interested in. So here's our class comparison over the last few years. And I can tell you that last year the average MCAT was about 27.37. Average science GPA 3.58, non-science 3.72, cumulative 3.64. And in 2012, in 2012, those numbers were fairly constant. I can tell you that for the 2015 class, those numbers we've seen an upward trend. The MCAT's about a 28.23, 3.66 natural science GPA. Our class demographics, last year 45% female, 25% first generation, 22% minority, and 91% in-state. We are a public school, so we do give preference to in-state students. Any out-of-state students? Okay. In some years, we'll take up to 20% of out-of-state students. Frankly, we're just looking for the best students, period. So, here are some numbers that you want to pay attention to. 4 out of the last 5 years, 100% placement in residencies. Hello. 88% of those students receive one of their top 3 choices. As I mentioned, over about 50% of our graduates focus on primary care, 99% graduation rate. Wow. 97+% first-time pass rate on the boards. So regardless of what med school that you apply to, and I hope you apply to more than one, never put your eggs just in one basket. Look at their statistics. What are their benchmarks? What are their graduation rates? What are their first-time pass rates on the board? Those numbers are important. So all state of Ohio residents receive a primary or secondary application. Guaranteed. For our out-of-state students, they must meet one of the minimum, either a 3.25 natural science or a 24 MCAT. And also, there's a contract of admissions for out-of-state students. And what that says is, upon graduation, or after you finish your residency, you agree to give the state of Ohio 5 years of your practice. Now, let me just back up and explain why that is. We're a public school. We're using public dollars to educate doctors. Our mission, if you read our mission statement, right in the midsection, our mission is to provide the state of Ohio with primary care physicians. So when we were chartered in '75, that was the agreement we made with the state. So that is kind of the background of the contract of admissions. However, there are ways that you can fulfill the contract of admissions while in residency if you, say you're a primary care physician or want to be. If you complete your residency in one of our core sites, those years will count for your five-year contract obligation. And you won't have to stay in Ohio another day upon completing your residency. We also grant scholarships to some of the top out-of-state students, waiving them out of the contract of admissions. And the least preferred way to resolve the contract of admissions or to complete the contract of admissions obligation is to buy yourself out of that contract. That's the least preferred way because I'm told that that's a $40,000 or $50,000 cost. So I just touch on the contract of admissions because I know you're out of state. I want to make sure you get both sides of the coin. Some students look at that as an obstacle. Some students look at it as an opportunity. $60 application fee for the secondary. An essay is required. That essay is you're telling us why you think you're a good fit for HCOM. And if you request one of the other two campuses, Cleveland or Dublin, then there's another short paragraph essay that you explain what's your connection to those campuses. Those two extended campuses were set up partially to recruit students who are from those areas and want to return to those areas and practice medicine. So if you're from Cleveland, anyone from Cleveland? Okay. Or a contiguous county? Or Columbus? Or a contiguous county? Okay, so we'll use Cleveland. If you are from the Cleveland area, we're recruiting students who want to practice medicine back in their home area. Studies tells us that more than likely you're going to go back home to do your practice. Not always, but most people want to go back home to get back to their communities and neighborhoods where they're from. So those campuses were set up with the thought in mind to recruit and retain practicing physicians from those areas. So other things we look for. We're looking for well-rounded students. Someone who sits on the committee and reads files and conducts the interviews on Fridays, one of many. I can tell you that we're not just looking for students who are excellent in the classroom. I can give you example after example just in the last 3 weeks where we have waitlisted or have rejected a student from a major university with a 3.9 and a 37 MCAT. Reason for that is that person did not fit our admission statement and was not the type of student that we were looking for. So what the type of students that we're looking for, students who have excellent communication and interpersonal skills. Thank you. When you first step into my office and before you sit down, when I shake your hand, and is it a firm handshake and do you look me in the eye when I ask questions? Or do you look from side to side? That's a firm handshake. I like that. Students who have a sense of community, altruism, who want to give back to the communities. And that is evident by some of the extracurricular activities that you've involved yourself throughout your collegiate or maybe high school years. Maybe you're involved in your church or synagogue or place of worship. Maybe you are involved in Habitat for Humanity. Maybe it's something as simple as working in a food kitchen, not just during Christmas, but every so often. Maybe it's working with the Boys and Girls Club. We're looking for students who have engaged themselves in the community, who want to be part of the community, who want to give back to the community. We're looking for student leaders so that we can turn those student leaders into leaders who become doctors. Leaders who just happen to be doctors who are leading the way and transforming the way we practice medicine globally, not just in the state of Ohio or in the nation, but globally. Those are the type of students we're looking for. Students who have clinical and shadowing experiences. I can tell you, if you apply to an osteopathic medical school, it is a must that you shadow and provide a letter of recommendation from a DO. Period. I always recommend to students that they shadow both an allopathic and osteopathic physician. The common questions that I receive here, well, how many hours is enough? 40 plus. When you submit your application, you want to make sure that you have minimum 35, 40 hours of shadowing. Include a primary care doctor if you are applying to HCOM, and then if you are interested in anesthesiology, shadow an anesthesiologist. But 40 hours is a good number that you want to work from. Candidates from diverse backgrounds. Diversity means just about anything today. But we're looking for students who not only are educationally different, maybe they come from a different region, Appalachia, maybe Northeast Ohio. We feel that diverse backgrounds are students, they each bring something unique to the table of learning at HCOM. And this is important. This is kind of what I mean by, does a student meet our mission statement? You have a motivation, a passion for osteopathic medicine, and you want to be a part of the HCOM family. When I interview a student, and one of my first questions I'll ask, so why HCOM? Why do you want to be an osteopathic physician? Well, I interviewed last year, but I didn't get accepted to any of the allopathic schools. Wrong answer. I will respectfully continue with the interview, but I can guarantee you, when we get to the selection part at the end of the day, your name's crossed off. Not interested. And that's regardless if you got a 4.0 and a 45 MCAT. Not interested. We're interested in students who want to be part of the family. And I stress family. HCOM is family. Talk to some of the alumni who have gone through the Bobcat doors for HCOM.